Rebel Moon, Part 1, A Child of Fire. So I'm going to give it a chance. The very start of the movie, I had the same questions I have when I watch any Star Wars movie, which is okay, so there's no such thing as time dilation. You can travel 1,000 times the speed of light, and there's no aging difference. There's no such thing as inertia or anything like that. Um, you know, there are literally so many things poorly done about Star Wars and science fiction and science that I know that George Lucas doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to science. Literally, George Lucas doesn't know a damn thing about science fiction. He is a science fantasy writer, and in fantasy, anything can be possible. So I'm going to give Rebel Moon an opportunity along that basis. So far, the acting is good. The bad guy is very unlikable. Hi, baby.
Hi, baby.
Pills. Thank you.
I love you.
I love you, sweetie.
Sleep tight.
Okay.
Hi.
It's decent acting. This is the first thing is if the acting is good, a lot can be forgiven. If the music is good, a lot can be forgiven. The stupid way they had to dress the horse, they could have made the horses look like regular horses. They didn't have to make the horses look like some alien animal. This is one of the worst things that they do is this, everything has to look alien, except everybody all speaks English, no matter what you look like, that kind of thing. You know, it's just, there are so many contradictions that you could put the Bible up to it. You know what I mean? But George Lucas knew dip fucking shit about science. And so Star Wars, which I've watched hundreds of times, the series, okay, for me is science fantasy. And I accept it as science fantasy. And I'm going to have to do that with Rebel Moon. I can tell already, okay? Because as far as science goes, if you were going to be next to a Saturn-sized planet, number one, it has rings, but also has moons big enough with atmospheres that people can live on. So these writers evidently don't understand about magnetic fields, radiation, anything. They don't understand shit, okay? They would have been better off to just have a planet around a standard star, okay? So as soon as I saw that, I knew that I was going to have to do this video and go along the lines like I do with Star Wars, is that there is no such thing as science fiction at all. There will be very, very little science fact, as a matter of fact. Even the premise, even the fucking premise, are you going to grow food for us? Okay, so we're basically looking at the Magnificent Seven or the Seven Samurai or any of other of those in that series. I can tell you right now, I can predict what's going to happen. I didn't watch any of the previews. I don't know any premises about anything. I tried to stay away from it. But I can tell you right now how the story is going to go, and that's a bad thing, first off. Ugh. There are ways to avoid these conundrums, okay? There's not that, I mean, it's for people that like science fiction like myself, who are used to reading science fiction authors their whole life, okay? it's really, really hard to watch something that like George Lucas or whoever produced this produced, because it's obvious that this is not going to be interesting in a science fiction sort of way. Science is not going to come into play as far as restrictions, abilities, plus or minus, okay, additives to the story. Because if you start doing that, don't mix the two. Ne'er the twain shall meet. It is science fantasy, and that is it, okay? So I'm going to give it a shot only because I decided, okay, I'm going to watch this for 10 minutes and I'm going to see if the acting is any good. And I actually watched 41 minutes before I paused this. And the acting is good. The acting is good. I think I'll be able to enjoy this along the same lines that I enjoy Star Wars. I accept it as science fantasy and that anything is possible, and that I understand why the director thought he had to make horses look like whatever the hell they look like, just like George Lucas tried to make elephants look like whatever he tried to make them look like when everybody knew they were elephants in makeup, which for me destroys the whole concept. We are good enough now, okay, with computer graphics, and yes, I understand budgets and all of that, okay, but I mean, just let them look like horses. You see? There's no need, zero need to make it look completely like a horse, except for some weird fucking thing on their head. Look, it's not a horse, it's one of these. The bad guy. Stereotyping. Let me see. God, I can't, Alita, you name it. This guy is your stereotypical bad guy because of the way he looks. And they also have him looking really, either he's unhealthy and he's lost a lot of weight, but he looks really pasty, and maybe that's part of the drama thing, okay? But he doesn't look healthy like he did when he did Alita. And see, again, science fantasy accepted as science fantasy. What do we got? Rollerblade battle matches and shit. Of course it's science fantasy, okay? If you want to read science fiction, then you read Ringworld or iRobot or Foundation. But good acting so far. And that's going to keep, and the music is good. It's a good score. It's going to keep me in. I can tell right now that I'm going to enjoy it because I've already dissected just by the first 5 minutes that, okay, so they're not taking science into account here. It's going to be a science fantasy thing, and I have to accept it as that. It's hard for me. The way my mind is wired is different than other people, and I've known that. I don't know if it was because I died once. I don't know if it's just genetic, weirdness. I don't know what it is. I try to tell people how my memory works. I tell my granddaughter, look, I can remember what I had for breakfast in 1988 at 10 o'clock in the morning while I was having a discussion with my girlfriend about don't throw my fucking albums away. It's just how my mind works. And so I remember all of the science fiction I've read in my life. And I compare all other movies to what I've read. And right away, I'm going to throw a lot of very entertaining movies out the window if I have to do that. You know what I mean? Right? Aliens that can fly anywhere in the universe, obviously, past the speed of light, obviously, but they go out and just kill to collect trophies to hang on their belts. But I enjoy the fuck out of Predator because it was good at acting, and I like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, and I also have a German copy of the original Predator in 3D. And if you have not watched a jungle movie in 3D, it's very sweet. Okay, really, it's not flat. The jungle is jungly. It's awesome. So at this point, I have to give Rebel Moon a watch. Yeah, it's a definite watch. Everything I've seen so far, discounting science, everything I've seen so far, it looks like it's going to be fairly enjoyable. I'm looking forward to the new characters I'll be meeting as she goes out and gathers her Magnificent Seven, and anything else that goes on. I think it's going to be okay. And if I think it's going to be okay, you know me, okay? If I think it's going to be okay, it's probably going to be okay to watch.